Welcome to New Beginnings Toastmasters Club this evening, our Zoom meeting online. I'm Lee Walker, the Sergeant at Arms for the club this year. Again, just welcome everybody to our meeting. And we'll move into our first role this evening, the invocation of Joke Master Brian Ruano. So let's welcome Brian.
Okay, great. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It's gonna look like I'm gonna try to view my camera here, but the monitor is gonna be, so I'm gonna try to concentrate here. So I will start out with a quote by a man whose name he said, in order to create a new future, you gotta envision your past and your current light, so in your present light. The way I view and understand this quote is that he is trying to say to view your past in your present self and the you who is now. Doing so will allow you to paint a clear picture to what your future should be. Do not view your past in a negative way, but view it as a testament to how far you've come and how much stronger you've become and how much you've evolved. With this point of view, you'll be able to create a plan to better yourself in the present self to work for your current future. And now you ask yourself, how does this affect me? We all came here for a purpose, for a reason. And that reason is different for everyone else, but we all came here in the end to become a better version of ourselves. Sometimes when we look at our past, we forget that that person is not who we are now. I remember one time where I would not be able to speak to a group of people like I am doing now. That guy would shake, would sweat, would tremble, and try to find ways to not stand up in front of people. But that version of me was just a seed. It was a baby version of myself. I'm still a sapling. And my future is to become that grand tree that I can look down to everyone around me who are growing too and help them succeed as well. Now I pass the lectern over to our president, Mr. Robert Riggs.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, sir. And I will virtually shake your hand as we pass off the lectern. That was absolutely wonderful. Does anybody here know that that's actually Brian's very first role out of all the meetings that he's attended? So I would like an extra round of applause if possible, because Brian, not only did you deliver your first invocation, but you delivered one of the best invocations I've ever heard. So thank you, sir. You really, exactly. See, look at all those little hands clapping. I'm definitely happy to do that again. So who wants Brian to do the invocation the next time? Anybody else? Yeah, see, there's a lot of hands up raised right now.
I'm gonna start charging.
Yeah. I love it. So welcome everybody to New Beginnings Toastmasters. I am your president, or at least your current president for the year. My name is Robert Riggs. I would like to welcome all of our guests as well. It looks like we have Tiana, welcome back. It looks like we have our Division D Director, Corey. It looks like we have Mr. J.N. Davis. Welcome, Mr. J.N. It looks like that might be the only guest. Am I missing anybody? Is there any more guests? Wait a minute, there's a Lynn somewhere. Where's the Lynn? Is there a Lynn? Where'd you go, Lynn? Okay, Lynn's right there. So Lynn has graciously agreed to step up. She's actually the administration manager this year for the district, and she loves us so much that she actually called me and begged me to take her grammarian role today. So thank you so much for coming back, Lynn. We sincerely appreciate it. Now, in honor of a meeting, a speech that I gave last week, I'm going to continue with this concept of the duality of man. And actually, for the rest of the year, believe it or not, I'm going to continue with this idea that there's parts of ourselves that are great and that we relish, and that there are the powers that be within us. And there's other parts of ourselves that we try to improve. That's why we're here. In fact, this whole year in our group, we're going to be picking 3 goals for each individual, or each individual is going to pick 3 goals over the next year that they want to accomplish outside of Toastmasters. And we're going to work together as a group to try to help each of us accomplish those goals. So the other part of that is having the good parts and the parts that we're trying to grow means that there's also different there's strengths and weaknesses to everybody. For example, JP is a really good visionary. I'm a really good micromanager planner who sometimes annoys people, but I would like to right here flip a coin like I'm gonna do at the beginning of every meeting, because whether it's gonna be me or JP, he's gonna call it. I know he just muted himself, both his video and his audio. I like to ask JP to unmute his video and audio. He's got to call heads or tails, and if he wins the coin toss, then he gets to be acting president. And if he loses, then I have to do it. But Mr. JP,
we agreed on every other week, Rob. So you have it for today.
no, it's supposed to be every time that you're here. So if you
Those were not the terms.
Those are terms. If you can't show up, I have to do it by default. But you have to not show up for that to happen.
Okay.
So would you like heads or tails, sir?
Heads. Hey, heads, I'm not doing the speech. I'm not doing it.
Heads, you're not being acting president, right?
Yep.
Well, that's good because it was actually tails.
Cool.
Should have stuck with heads.
So, sir, I sincerely appreciate you stepping in and being acting president for us tonight. Our immediate past president, JP, is actually going to step up and be our acting president tonight. So everybody, please welcome to the lectern, Mr. JP.
Hey, welcome everybody to New Beginnings Toastmasters. And again, that flip a coin thing is really starting to bite me in the butt. So without further ado, we do have a great night. I saw that on the meeting that our theme for the night is colors, and it was initially Asha that came up with the idea. And Andrew so gratefully stepped into the role as the Toastmaster of the evening and will fulfill that role as Toastmaster of the evening. This is a great night. I like the energy, and hopefully we keep the energy up. That was a great introduction, Brian, as well as Lee. You're always overlooked as Sergeant at Arms, but again, we still appreciate you as Sergeant at Arms and know that you do your best. So then, without further ado, I don't have anything for me or for my portion, so I'd like to pass it off to the Toastmaster of the evening for the night, Mr. Andrew Bullocks.
Colors! Colors! My picture is so full of colors. It's all about colors tonight. Your favorite colors. Now, I listed my favorite color is blue, which is true, but I like a lot of colors. I like the explosion of colors. I like colorful backgrounds. So as we go through the evening, every time you introduce yourself, let's hear about your favorite color. Or I hope you're displaying your favorite colors with the clothes you are currently wearing, or hat, or whatever. All right, so we have a packed evening tonight. We have 3 prepared speeches. We have some table topics and evaluations, the most important part of the meeting. But before we get started, I will introduce all the people who helped get me to where we are tonight, getting this meeting together. And to start, our General Evaluator, Ms. Cleo Robertson.
Greetings. Can everybody hear me? Correct? Yes.
We hear you loud and
All
clear.
right. Awesome. Greetings, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. The purpose of the General Evaluator is to evaluate everything that takes place throughout the meeting. During the meeting, I will take notes on everything that happens and doesn't happen. Now, I will evaluate each participant on the meeting program and look for good examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of duties. And at the end of the meeting, I will give my report. But before that, before I send it back over to you, I need to introduce helpers for this evening, and we have some awesome helpers. Let me look at the agenda right quick. The first helper I want to introduce is, she's our guest this evening, Toastmaster, let me scroll up, Toastmaster Lynn Claiborne, who will be our grammarian and odd-counter. Toastmaster Lynn, can you provide a description of what your roles entail?
Yes, and
You muted yourself.
thank you, Cleo. My favorite color is purple. It's royalty. It has to do with honor, so that's my favorite color, and it's my birthstone. As the grammarian, I will be responsible, and pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. So I will give a report afterwards to let everyone know if they have any areas that they need to work on. As the up counter, I will also take word of any note that might be a crutch, like the word like, so, you know, and so. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lynn. And the next on the agenda, I would like to introduce Toastmaster Lee Walker, who will be our word master / listen up for this evening. Toastmaster Lee Walker.
Improve our vocabulary and usage of words. So we have the word master role, and I've chosen the word exhortation or exhort, a variation of that you can use, and it will be used as word of the day. So exhortation, an address or communication emphatically urging someone to do something. Used in a sentence. Excuse me. He exhorted his people to take back their land. So exhortation or exhort is our word of the evening, and I'll put it in the chat. And my next role is listen up. In Toastmasters, we mainly speak with our speaking roles, table topics, and evaluations. But we also want to listen to the speakers and listen to our evaluations so we can improve on our speeches. So I'll be listening to the speakers this evening and coming up with some questions of information to ask later this evening. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lee Walker. Our next person will be Toastmaster Franz Sampour, who is doing the timer role this evening. Franz, if you can tell us all about your role.
Yes, good evening and thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters as well as administrators. My role is to keep the time, just since everything is on the timeline that we're working on, to keep everyone within the balance of time as it progresses. I'll be using 3 different colors to be able to inform the speaker or anyone else that will be partaking with the program. The green color will be used as the go-ahead within the time frame, such as the first speaker will be having between 4 to 6 minutes. Green color will be reflected as it progresses, getting close to the time of their speech. The yellow will be reflected so that you'll be telling them getting close to the time. And the final closing point of the talks will be red to inform them that the time has elapsed. These are the functions that I'll be doing, and as well keeping the timeline as well logged in so we can have a precise count and keep the program going so we can keep the time, the program on time frame that's scheduled for. Thank you. Back to you.
Awesome. Awesome. I saw that you had your timer cards below the screen a little bit. Can you raise them up a little bit higher?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Thank you very much. And thanks for the explanation. Our last role, I believe that I'm going to ask, the last person will be our table topics master. I'm going to ask that person that will be JP. I'm going to ask him to describe his role.
Unmute myself. I started most of that muted. All right, so table topics, as a table topics master, my general job is to give people who didn't have a speaking role a chance to actually give a short speech. Generally minute 30 to 2 minutes about a topic of our choosing. And for this, since the theme of the night is colors, I will try to integrate that into some of the topics that we talk about and just see if we can go from there. And also my favorite color is blue with all the variant shades, dark blue, light blue. It depends, and I like it just because there's no general reason. Maybe it was Power Rangers. Like my brother was like Red Ranger, and I just had to go with default blue. So then after that, I just stuck with it. But besides that, Miss General Evaluator.
Awesome. I think that's it, right? I don't think I need to introduce anyone else, correct?
That's it.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Also, I put the link to documents in the chat. Do I need to repost it in case you all need it? Whoever's doing the roles, does anyone need any of the sheets? If so, they are in the chat. If not, just text me and or message me and I'll repost it back in the chat, okay? All right, I'm gonna send this back over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Andrew Bullock.
I'm back. All right. Now, we will now begin the speech portion of our meeting. And our first speaker is doing an icebreaker. And we're in the effective coaching pathway. Icebreaker is 4 to 6 minutes, but there's no speech title. There's no speech title. Let's unmute Tiffany. Hold up.
It's Robert's fault.
It's Robert's fault. Yeah, that's the excuse we use for everything too.
It's Robert's fault. Yes, it is.
That's the
No.
default around here, by the way.
Yeah.
So, what is your
The
speech
speech
title?
title is Who Am I?
Who am I? So,
Remember, Robert?
Tiffany Dunbar. Who am I? Who am I, Tiffany Dunbar?
Who am I? When was the last time you asked yourself that question? Who am I? Good evening, Toastmasters, guests. My name is Tiffany Dunbar, and like me, you're probably recovering from the fear of public speaking. Now, I don't know when this all started. I think it had a lot to do with my upbringing. I was raised in a single parent household along with my two brothers. Now, Mom, she wasn't but yay tall and as big as that pen sitting on your desk. Yes, that one right there on your desk. She was that big. And she had a smile that could brighten up any room. But don't misunderstand. She ran a tight ship. And to keep us in line, she would use these phrases or sayings like, girl, I brought you into this world and I will take you out. And I believed her too. She would also say things like, children should be seen and not heard. Children should be seen and not heard. Now, don't get me wrong, there was always food, friends, and fun in my household, but children had their place. My mother didn't have to say a word when grown-ups came around. She just gave us that look. And we knew to scatter. I get it. My mother wanted us to be respectful of adults. She didn't want us to be privy to grown folks' conversations. And her method worked. But it also planted a seed. And that seed blossomed into a little voice that said, you're not good enough. They don't want to hear what you have to say. Shut up. And I did just that. And over the course of time, I developed a stutter. And that stayed with me throughout my teenage years and into my young adulthood. Sure, I got good jobs and everything because I was a great worker. I was innovative. I was smart. What? Did I mention that I'm humble? No? Okay. Humble, very humble. But that fear still lived inside of me. It was deep rooted. I stumbled across Toastmasters in early 2007. Some would say that it was a coincidence. Do you believe in coincidences? By show of hands, how many of you believe in coincidences? Me either. In fact, write this down. There is no such thing as a coincidence in this world, only inevitability. So it was inevitable that I learned about Toastmasters on that winter day in 2007. I went to a women's conference in South Philly, and I wasn't even supposed to be there. My coworker was supposed to go, but she got food poisoning the day before. And no, I know what you're thinking. I did not poison that woman, okay? She got food poisoning the day before, and she couldn't go, so they asked me to go. And I said, I'm going to have to think about it. Okay, I'll go. So I went to that conference, and there stood this woman. She spoke so eloquently, and she looked so confident. And I thought to myself, how did she get that way? She kept saying Toastmasters. Toastmasters helped me develop the confidence that I need to be the speaker that I needed to become the speaker that I am today. She said that she worked in corporate America. And like me, she was shy. And she stuttered. She had a lot to say, but no one wanted to listen because she was not a good communicator. Ladies and gentlemen, she told my story. And I figured if Toastmasters could work for her, it would certainly work for me. So I joined Toastmasters in October of 2007, and I have not looked back. I joined a club. I took on several leadership roles. I got a mentor, the very best mentor in the world. And yes, I said the best mentor in the world. Write this down. If you don't think you have the best mentor in the world, perhaps you should continue your search. You should have the best mentor in the world because you deserve it. I also started participating in contests. It was my mentor who encouraged me to participate in contests. And I want to go into that a little bit more, but I'm running a little short on time. So I'm going to save that for another speech. But who am I? My name is Tiffany Dunbar. And today, I'm a motivational speaker, life coach, an overcomer. Who am I? I am still becoming. Toastmaster.
Woo!
Dang, you killed it. That was awesome.
All right, let's actually give Tiffany Dunbar's exhortation a standing ovation. She just completed an icebreaker.
Thank you.
Her very first speech.
If that wasn't an introduction to what to look forward to as she gives more speeches in this club, I don't know what is. All right, Mr. Timer, can I have 1 minute on the clock while everyone sends Tiffany some feedback? If you look in your chat window, you'll see a little drop menu down at the bottom where you can select Tiffany Dunbar's name and you can send her a private message with some feedback. And now to move on to our next speech. Tough act to follow, right? Tammy Adama is working on first project of her level 4 Communicate Change in the Visionary Communication pathway. Speech title, Building Our Online Presence, One Change at a Time. Change can sometimes happen in great sweeps. However, most times it is the small choices we make every day that creates permanent, sustainable changes. One thing builds upon another, much like building a house. To create an online presence for our club, we need to build it. Teamwork makes the dream work. Tammy Adam.
What if I told you that we have the capacity to make our Toastmasters clubs one of the top clubs? Would you want to be a part of that? In this day and age, with the internet and social media, that opportunity is available to all of us. But I can't do it alone. This is a team effort. What do I mean by that? As the new Vice President of Public Relations, I'm willing to put in the time to build our social media and internet presence, but it can't stop with me. It means nothing if I post videos and photos, etc., if no one is liking them, sharing them, and commenting on them. Why is that? Facebook and Google, for example, use algorithms. And Andrew, can you please bring up Facebook for us? So I'm going to show you on Facebook exactly what I'm talking about. If you scroll down to our first post down there, Andrew, here. Okay, so when you can't see it on Andrew's, but there's a thing called reach, and there's also engagements. And so when you get a reach, somebody just viewed your post. If you get an engagement, they've actually clicked on it, they've liked it or commented or even shared it. So a great way to share is, you know, you want to be able to show your family, your speech and everything. And granted, the meetings are a full-length meeting, but you can share the post and then put the time your speech starts and what time it ends. You can also just go to our page and like and follow us, and also just scroll down and start liking the posts. Why is that beneficial? Well, the more we like our posts and comment and share our posts, the more Facebook and Google say, these people are interested in this subject. We're going to share it with more like-minded people. That helps our club. So why get attention online for our club? Who cares, right? It's the potential it gives us. I'm going to talk about some numbers here. 2.41 billion users visit Facebook every single day. Videos on Facebook are viewed 8 billion times per day. Those are some numbers right there. Andrew, can you bring up YouTube? On YouTube, we have 2 billion visitors. Now, the most popular videos are shorter, so one of our goals is to get smaller clips of videos together, and they may highlight certain speeches or evaluations. And we don't want you to be shy about that. We will ask your permission, but it helps others to get the courage to try to take a step in their own lives and maybe join Toastmasters or try their hand at public speaking or something new. So this is our YouTube page. Wow, this is analytics. But down here you can see the videos. And so this helps us see how many views we're getting, and that helps with marketing as well. Next, we have Instagram. And Andrew, would you click on our Instagram? We just started Instagram, so we are still getting posts up there. Already we have, I believe it's 109 followers, which isn't bad for just a little over a week. There are a lot of Toastmaster clubs on the internet or on Instagram specifically. And again, all you have to do is click on the post and like them. You know, that is one way you can help us become more visible for people looking for clubs like ours. And Instagram gets about 1 billion views a day. So do I still need to convince you? I know it's a lot to ask to go to every single site every day and click on our posts. So I'm not asking you to do that. What I am saying is perhaps you will go on and pick one page, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, and like our post, comment, or share. This is a time when we have the ability to approach people from all over the world, from different clubs to visit ours and ours to visit them. And how does this help you? It helps you because you're exposed to different cultures, new and old ideas, styles, and more information that can only make you better. It can help you in all areas of your life, whether it's your personal or your work. And how is that? You'll be a more rounded individual. What do you have to lose? Help us help you. We have a strong foundation thanks to some key people in this club. We're off to a great start. I will have some involvement on YouTube and the website, but where I need to focus is Facebook and Instagram to begin. I can't do it without you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tammy. All right. Let's get 1 minute on the clock for feedback. Feel free to send any feedback you have for Tammy to her in a private chat.
1 minute's over.
Thank you, Franz. All right. Our final speaker of the evening is one Robert Riggs, who did not deliver any chicken salad to anybody. He is working in level 4 of the pathway Effective Coaching. This project is improvement through positive coaching, 5 to 7 minutes. Speech title, Danger Dan Doesn't Just Happen. Have you ever had any opinion about how something could be better or how you could change it? Of course you have, which means we all have little coaches or mentors inside of us just waiting to burst out. The key is how to make a difference with that opinion. Our final speaker of the evening will be detailing his recent experience with Danger Dan and what he gleaned from it. Please welcome to the lectern, are you serious? The love child of Bill Belichick, Bill Walsh, and Bill Parcells.
Thank you, Andrew, for that very warm introduction, and welcome everybody. I do have one quick question before I begin my speech. What does Bill Belichick, Bill Walsh, and Bill Parcells all have in common? Does anybody know? I think Hans might know. Does anybody else know? Anybody? I can't hear you. You might want to mute yourself.
Our coaches.
Yes, they are. They're all famous, either soon to be in the Hall of Fame or are in the Hall of Fame NFL football coaches. They also all have a first name of Bill, okay? But there's a lot more complexities there than just the fact that they're all named Bill and they're all football coaches. In fact, each one of them is in the Hall of Fame or about to be in the Hall of Fame for many specific reasons. And it all finally wraps up into this one idea that they are educators. They are educators that know how to motivate people differently. They can go to one player over here and say this, that, and the other, and then go to other player over here, and they can ream them a new one, and they'll get the same amount of effort from either guy because they know how to identify what's going to work for this guy and what's going to work for this guy. For example, if I come up to this individual and say, you got to do this and you got to do that, well, that may work for that individual. There's one specific example where Bill Parcells actually was referring to a receiver called Terry Glenn. Does anybody here ever remember the receiver Terry Glenn? Absolutely. And in the middle of a news conference, they asked him, how is Terry doing? Bill's entire response was, she's fine. Because he knew that if he said that, he'd get under the skin of Terry Glenn, and he had a breakout rookie year. So it worked, okay? Like, he made fun of him, and he, basically demotivated him, and he became this brilliant receiver for the Cowboys. It was hilarious, right? That doesn't work for everybody. For example, Bill Belichick is a little more analytical sometimes. You know what he did during 1 week when he was going to go play the Vikings? Well, Adrian Peterson was in his prime. All he did was he put up a video of Adrian Peterson trying to just break the corner at the goal line, and the defensive back had a perfect angle. It wouldn't matter. It's Adrian Peterson. He just outpaced him and ran in. That was the entire video. He didn't show any other coverage about the Vikings offense, but just that one video. That's insane. But they knew that all he had to do was like scare the crap out of everybody, and it would work. So everybody knows how to motivate differently. All three coaches knew how to motivate differently, and they knew how to motivate each player differently. This idea of coaching is a unique one because it's not like a mentor, which is more like somebody who helps you along the way and is kind of patient. It's somebody who's a bit more direct and says this kind of thing could work or that kind of thing could work. But within that scope, there's still different ways that you can coach. Now, what does it take to be a good coach? That's something that I've learned on my time in Toastmasters as well as an educator teaching math. And I've identified different things that you can do, but the most key part is the emotional intelligence. As a matter of fact, there's a Google project called the Aristotle Project Initiative that came out that identified different ways that teams work effectively. And at the center of that was how well everybody was able to work together from an emotional standpoint, what their EQ levels were. So the best managers, therefore, had to be really good at EQ. And they identified 3 things that really stood out when it came to that emotional intelligence. First was a strong awareness of social connections or social sensitivity. Now, what do I mean by that? If I go and I'm going to coach somebody, that means that I have to be aware of their background. For example, I was helping John with his speech, Danger Dan. And I knew that John had a background growing up. He was in military school. I knew that a few other things are kind of going on. So when he was talking about Danger Dan, he said, I used to be in the military and therefore it was a regimented life. And this moment to get out and explode and enjoy my life whitewater rafting, I had to remember what was his background. I had to be conscious of what was going on with him when he was going to try to deliver this speech. So first part is the strong awareness of social connection or social sensitivity. The second part is an environment where each person speaks equally. So when I was coaching John, I first had to be aware of who he was and what his background was, but then I couldn't just tell him what to do all the time. You got to do this and you got to do that. John may respond to that, but more than likely, John's going to want some give and take. There are times when I may have a specific thing I want to talk about for 2 minutes and see if he's learning and getting it. And then there are times where I'm just going to sit back and listen, and he's going to reciprocate and work through it. So I had to there's a give and take there. So it's important for everybody to feel heard. And the third thing is the psychological safety, where everyone feels safe to show and employ themselves without fear of negative consequences. So a nice way of saying that is, if John comes up with a creative idea, I don't necessarily have to shoot it down. I might politely find a way to say, that might not be the best idea, or that could work. Let's see what you got. In the back of my mind, I may think that's not going to work, but at least I have to give them the opportunity. So there's different elements of how I could approach this coaching thing. And I worked with John, and I'm going to ask him some questions. John, if you could unmute yourself, let's see how I did. Because let's be honest, when you started, it was just a fun story, but you kind of put some organization to it. Danger Dan didn't start so dangerous, and eventually it kind of organically moved into what it was. So first off, did I establish a friendship that was sensible to your background?
Yeah, I think you did. You definitely were very accommodating and offered me some dinner and stuff like that. Kind of like a good, good first date type of thing. You warmed up. It's all about sales. You got to warm up first before you do the pitch. So you got the warm up in and made a good, familiar connection.
That's exactly right. At 100%. You got it. First impressions make a difference. Also, 50-50. Was there give and take, John? Were you able to feel like you got your opinion and what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I definitely felt like I got my opinion in. It felt more like a team effort than just like one-sided. So I had the chance to kind of say a couple examples that I thought were good, and he had a chance to say a couple examples he thought was good, and we kind of went back and forth, and we're like, oh, this sounds great. We came up with a good basis from all that.
All right, and final question, and then I'll have to cut it off real quick, so I'm getting the red. But open ideas and freedom to disagree with me. Yes or no, did I actually give you the opportunity to disagree with me?
You definitely gave me the opportunity to disagree with you because there are things I didn't like that I thought could be better, and we worked with that, and we came to a good outcome.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. I worked with Danger Dan. Danger Dan didn't start so dangerous, but as you can see from the results last week, he won Best Speaker. Tiffany, you evaluated him. I thought he did pretty good. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Riggs. All right. Mr. Timer, can I have 1 minute on the clock for feedback for Mr. Robert Riggs? Everyone, please give Mr. Riggs some feedback.
1 minute.
All right. Thank you, Franz. Let's give our speakers another round of applause. All right, Franz. How did we do? Can I get a timer's report, please?
Thank you. For Miss Tiffany Dunbar, we had 6 minutes and 45 seconds. For Tammy Adama, we had 6 minutes and 20 seconds. For Mr. Robert Riggs, we had 7 minutes and 40 seconds.
Oh, we had 2 disqualifications. Tiffany ran slightly over, and so did Rob. But by default, our best speaker is Tammy Adama.
Nice.
Excellent. Good job, Tammy. All right. So at this time, we will take let's call it a 12-minute break, and we will resume the meeting with some table topics after that. I'll see you in 12 minutes.
New Beginnings Toastmasters Club, please come back to order. We're moving into the second portion of our meeting this evening, which is table topics. So we'll turn it over to our table topics master, JP.
Welcome, everybody. And again, I was coming up with a good amount of questions that would kind of lean towards the theme of colors. And then if I didn't have any, I was just going to go with questions we were talking about with yesterday with my roommate. And that was like we were watching Devs as well as Midnight Gospel, and we came up with ideas, and we were just talking in our backyard about like just ideas about philosophy and just what stuff means to us. And I think some of this might work for this kind of table topic. We'll see. So without further ado, do I have anybody that wants to volunteer and that did not have a speaking role? Okay. So then can I have, first time just want to observe others. Okay, I see it from T. So then John, oh, he's not even on. So Brian Ruano, would you like to be the first one up?
I feel like you have an agenda against me.
There is. There is. So would you like to go?
Sure.
Okay, I'll keep this one light. What color do you associate with a bad memory? What color do you associate with a bad memory?
The color that has always been a bad memory for me, or has been a bad influence for me, has been the color red. A lot of people associate red with blood or violence or anything that might bring harm to them. Red to me signifies the evil that has come into my life during periods in the past. Red signifies the anger that used to take over when I was younger, the anger towards my life, the anger towards the people around me, the anger towards society in general. Red signifies blindness to me, blindness to the truth, blindness to who I really am and what my potentials really are. Red for a very long time was an evil, power-consuming color that would take over someone just like fire would burn a whole forest down. Nowadays, red signifies the color of a rose to me, the blooming of a new life, and the potential of a greater future.
Is that, are you done? Okay, hey.
Stop picking on me.
Right on. John Gregory, would you like to give a speech?
No, I'm not doing one today.
Okay. What about Lynn? Okay. Okay. All right. So the next speech I have is the next question I have for you is somewhat of a rocker. All right. So why is the Democrats' color blue and why is the Republicans red? Why not another color like yellow or green? So again, why is the Democrats' color blue and why is the Republican colors red?
Thank you, JP, for that question. So when we look at history and we look at the color blue, when we take it all the way from one coast to another, we look at gang colors. We look at the Crips for blue, and we look at red for the Bloods. Now, Bryant said red. Red was all about bad things in his life, anger, violence. Can we tie that to the Republican Party? I would say maybe not, but some people think that. And when we look at the blue, we think of people being true. And when you think of the Democratic Party, are they true? I would say not. But the color for red and the color for blue, what significance does it make? I don't know. However, when we look at what is associated with our flag, has red and blue in it, the United States flag. And that means that we are free in some aspects of our life. So why are the colors of red and blue for those different parties? I really don't know, and I really don't care. However, the people that I vote for, or the people who are in office, whether they are Democratic or Republican, I'm hoping that they will make the best choices for not just themselves, but for all Americans. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
That's a nice spin. That's a nice spin on there, Lynn. Oh, Giant Davis, you'd like to go? Is that correct?
No, no, thank you.
Oh, I just saw the hand being raised. Okay. Sorry, I was so confused. Oh, that was clapping. That was clapping. That was clapping. All right. Andrew Bullock, would you like to go?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So this one is going to move a little bit away from colors and more towards what me and my roommate was talking about with a show that we were watching yesterday. And it goes to the idea of, it obviously coincides with what Tiffany Dunbar was talking about. Do you believe that there's a cause and effect for everything, or do stuff happen for no reason?
Cause and effect. Now, there's obviously a cause and effect. Now, what Tiffany brought up was there's no coincidence. But for every action, there is a reaction. And my life is the epitome of cause and effect. Everything that has happened in my life, there's been a cause and there's been an effect. Sometimes I'm the cause, sometimes I'm the effect. And so, yes, everything in this world does indeed operate on a concept of cause and effect. When you decide to drink coffee, you'll be bouncing off the walls for the next 4 hours. That's cause, drinking the coffee. The effect is bouncing off the walls for 4 hours. When you go to a buffet and you eat so much food that you can't handle yourself, well, that's the cause. What happens afterwards? Well, that's effect. So, yeah, there is definitely cause and effect in our world. No matter what you do, there is always a response. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Okay. Do we have anybody else? Lee, would you like to go? What was that?
Okay, yes.
Oh, yes? Okay. Then this one was a subcategory that was talked about last night as well, where it had to deal with the CIA agent and his little subplot in the show. And it had a good little meaning behind there as well. Where my question to you is, can everything be contained, or do you just have to let things go, or do you sometimes just have to go with the flow?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests, can we contain things or try to change things or control things, or do we go with the flow? I think that depends on the situation or circumstances, the environment, a lot of variable factors. You know, there are people that do want to control things and be able to change things and do things their way for ego or just their desire. They're trying to achieve something. And then there's other people that just go along with the flow and just very accepting and just, okay, sure, let's do this or do that, or you think that way, okay, that's a good idea, or whatever. So I think it just kind of depends on situation, who's involved. There's probably many factors that can be involved, and things change and some things don't change, and just kind of depends on all of these put together for a situation. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Okay, and again, that was clapping of the hands, and I know that now. All right, do I have any more volunteers? France? Can we have someone do timer for France?
I'll do
Yes.
What was that?
it. I'll do it. I'll time.
Okay. So then for you, France, what color do you see when you're looking at a loved one?
What color do I see when?
When looking at a loved one, whether it be your sister or your dog or like your car or favorite ice cream, like what color do you see?
Okay. Color that I see when I looked at a loved one. It depends on the color that I usually see when my heart is open, when I'm in a moment of embrace without any walls or barriers or preconceived ideas or perceptions. I see an infinity, such as a glowing of light. The moods then bring the nuance that may vary, such as different colors. But that's what brings the beauty, manifestation of beauty, then radiated in colors. But being in a moment of embrace, the greatest feelings is that infinity, a vastness of undescribable, yet reality, confirmed and concrete within self, but cannot be described to a non-participant. Therefore, it's forever. Yes, Mr. Toastmaster.
Oh, I think, okay.
And John actually misunderstood you. He thought if you were asking if he was a speaker, but he is willing to do table topics. Him and his puppy are both willing.
Is that correct, John?
Topics.
What was that?
I'll do a table topic.
Okay. All right, on. I had enough for a couple, but let me see. Hans?
Yes.
Sure, I'll go.
Oh, okay, I'll
Got a
go John
question.
then Hans. I'll do John first, and then I'll give you a question. I think I got something for you. All right, but for John Gregory, right? Whenever we look at everything, there's no matter what we look at in the 3D or 2D, there's always a shadow for it, except for fire. Why don't we ever see a shadow for fire? And what does that mean?
What? Why don't we ever see a shadow? What?
When you see fire?
Fire?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's hard to hear. Okay. Why don't you ever see a shadow when you see fire? Probably because fire doesn't give off any light that really reflects, and shadows are usually made because of the way the light from the sun is hitting an object, and it kind of shows dark areas that aren't really there beforehand. So I feel like a fire just because it's on the ground and it's not up in the air is going to cause no shadows to be cast from the fire itself. I guess, yeah. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't know, man.
All right. That was a great explanation, Mr. John Gregory. For Hans U. Hitler, my last table topics of the night. This one's going back to a little more in depth. I think I would like, this might work. For you, there was a topic last night where no matter what someone decides, there is another world where someone creates another decision and another world forms off that decision. Are you aware of that multiverse theory, where whenever you make one decision, another decision happens in another reality? Mr. Hans?
Yes, I understand the question. However, I'm going to answer a different question.
Okay.
There was an individual who said the color red was about evil. For me, it's about life, vitality. The greatest soccer team that ever existed or will exist and does exist right now. It's called Liverpool Football Club, who just won the Premier League in the UK. But the color red to me means so many things. It means life. When you see an individual injured and you see the blood running out from them and you're begging for their life, to the individuals that get life from the red blood, it's the total opposite of what was discussed before for me. I love the color red and all the various derivations thereof. It's all about being your new life being created. But that's, of course, my interpretation of what the color red means to me. Somebody else has a perfectly good excuse for saying that the color red is evil. Mr. Table Topics Master.
That was a great explanation and a great perspective on red, Hans. And as well with most questions for table topics moving forward, if you don't feel comfortable answering a question with table topics, you can always go back and answer someone else's question or change the topic and just go with that for the next 2 minutes as well. But besides that, that ends table topics for the night. And I will pass it off to the Toastmasters of the evening.
Thank you, JP. That was an excellent and fulfilling table topics. Let's give JP a hand for stepping up to that role. All right, Mr. Timer, can I get a timer support for all of our wonderful participants?
Yes, indeed, Mr. President. For Mr. Brian, you had 1 minute and 15 seconds. For Lane, you had 1 minute and 37 seconds. For Andrew, you had 1 minute, 8 seconds. For Mr. Lee Walker, you had 1 minute and 35 seconds. For Franz, was 1 minute and 25 seconds. For John, you had 1 minute flat. And for Mr. Hans, it was 1 minute and 36 seconds.
All right. Sounds to me like everybody qualified.
Yes,
So
sir.
please submit your vote for best table topics to me. Okay, yeah. Send them to me. Just send it to me in a private message, and I'll tally them up and pass them along to our acting president. All right. Well, that's 2 things down, 1 more to go. We are now going to move into the evaluation portion of our meeting, starting with the individual speech evaluations and then our role reports. And to handle that is our journal evaluator, Miss Cleo Robertson.
Yeah. All right.
Lady in red.
Yeah. I have the pleasure of introducing Toastmaster Corey Bonville, who will be evaluating Toastmaster Tiffany Dunbar's speech. Toastmaster Corey Bonville.
Hello, hello again. Miss Dunbar, it was my pleasure to be your evaluator tonight for your icebreaker speech entitled, Who Am I? I would like to say, because I am not a member of this club, that I evaluate based on the level I believe you are at. So just take my advice or my evaluation with that in mind, because I've heard that I'm a little bit rough on evaluations. But because of what you told me in your speech, I believe that you will benefit from this feedback. So I broke up your evaluation in 3 parts. The setting, like setting the mood, setting the tone, a little areas for improvement, and then keeping us engaged. So setting the tone, your intro, you came in asking a question, amazing. You had humor throughout, amazing. Your voice was clear, your volume, you had great vocal variety, your personality shined through. And I'm gonna go through these because I already know you've heard these, but it was amazing. Your speed, the way you use pauses so eloquently. I was so engaged because when you pause, it made me lean in and say, okay, what's the next little bit she's gonna give us? Your word choice was phenomenal, and your eye contact, especially for Zoom, was very great. Now, there are always areas for improvement. because you stated in your presentation that you are actually a speaker outside of Toastmasters, one of the things that every speaker needs is a great intro, and not an intro to you actually speaking, but an intro to you being brought on as the speaker. So make sure as you move forward, you have an intro that someone else says about you that lets the audience know that, one, you are someone to listen to. So how long have you been speaking? What is your expertise? Any of those things. And also let us get our interest piqued by your intro. So maybe something like, Tiffany was always told she should be seen and not heard, yet she pushed through and is now a motivational speaker. Something of that nature. Also, a room where we can grow is mentioning time. When someone mentions, oh, I'm almost out of time, it always makes me jump out of their speech and think, did they prepare adequately? Because if you prepared, then you practiced and practiced and you know how much time you had, therefore we shouldn't be rushed at the end. And I don't think you didn't prepare, but it just, again, makes me jump out of your speech. So think about that. And then the last thing when I think about your rooms for improvement is your conclusion. You had me wrapped up in that speech. I loved every moment of it. And then at the end, you said, still becoming. I was like, no, because you went on this journey from a child who was told again to be seen and not heard. And then you made it all the way to these astonishing things and then still becoming. And I'm like, if she's still becoming, then what am I? So again, it takes me out of the speech. If you did all that to climb to the top, end with something phenomenal. Like, and yes, I have become what I always knew I could. I became what I never thought I could, something of that nature, so that we really have a great closure. And then lastly, because I love to end on a good note, it was so relatable. I grew up with that be seen and not heard. I love the organization and your transitions through stories, and I love your gestures. So thank you for letting me be your evaluator, and I would love to get with you after this meeting to talk more to you. Thank you.
That was a wonderful evaluation. I learned a lot. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Corey. Our next evaluator is Toastmaster Zachary Phillips. He will be evaluating Tammy Adams' speech. Toastmaster Zachary Phillips.
Thank you, General Evaluator Cleo. Tammy, really, really good speech. I always like your consistent, clear tone, and it's very informative, and it seems educational, as always, and this speech is absolutely no different. I like the moments of eye contact. But it really, you always seem like you're like engaging with the virtual audience, but the moments when you actually like look at the camera, they really connect with me. And so try to do more of those. But yeah, informative and educational, sort of a very matter-of-fact, confident and nurturing sort of speech that you gave. So the one thing I like to say that, you know, other than the eye contact, is that if I had to, if it was like a completely written speech that you gave, I would say make the words sort of like leap off the page. But since you were using a variety of probably written words and, you know, bullet point words, just sort of, you know, add a little bit more expression, and just, you know, just a touch more expressive in your tone and your emotions. But, you know, all in all, great. And then I also challenge you to actually do a little bit more engaging with the audience. And I know this is a Zoom call, so it's a little bit different. You know, like, you know, talk to people, you know, about, you know, like, do they use Facebook, and like, have they liked our page? And you did do some of that, but, you know, like, I don't know if you could do more engaging and, you know, getting people to answer the questions. You know, that'd be a great challenge for you. All right, Ms. Cleo, General Evaluator, thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Zachary. Our last evaluator is Toastmaster Hans Peter Uhidle. He will be evaluating Toastmaster Robert Riggs' speech. Toastmaster Hans.
Good evening, Madam General Evaluator. If you haven't figured out yet, my favorite color is red. This evening's project for Robert is to develop and apply skills for coaching a fellow member of Toastmasters or somebody from outside the club, and also give us the benefit of his expertise in coaching. Now, I have to start by ribbing Robert a little bit. Are you getting comfy at home? This is the first speech I think I've seen you given. You haven't been in a suit and tie. Exactly. But the stories tonight were a reflection by motivation or the newer forms of motivation. Now, I'm old enough where I remember the old style motivation where it was like a foot that you were rear end, and that counted for motivation. This is more about the softer side of getting somebody to do something, or persuading somebody to do something, or working with somebody to do something. The social connection, the aware of an individual's background, what they like, what they dislike, and how it all fits together, and how I can make somebody, by connecting with them, do something they might not necessarily want to do, or wants to do something, but you need to persuade them. I liked what you talked about, which was your 50-50 sharing, the fact that there was disagreement. I really liked the good use of Mr. John Gregory, or Danger Dan. I think it highlighted what went on in the coaching sessions. It made it really come alive. And when you were doing the back and forth, it seemed like you guys were feeding off each other, and you kept it very light, and you also kept it very humorous to make it interesting for us. What I would like to talk to you about just briefly is the introduction. When you talked about the three coaches, I would bring up the three names, but I would focus in on one of them. And since the only one who's still coaching is Bill Belichick, I would focus on that particular coach, because I thought that the introduction was a little bit too long, and as normal, you got into trouble time-wise, although you only busted it by 10 seconds, which has got to be some kind of record for you. For those who don't know, an average speech for Rob is usually about 1 minute over time. That's just the way he rolls with his speeches. So yes, I would cut down on the introduction to get to the more important part of it, which was the second part of your speech. Not saying that it was bad, it was just saying that I think it took away a little bit from your speech. However, it was a great speech, and I know that you're going to go for DTM in about a year or so, right?
Depends on who I can coach.
Yes. And with that, Madam General Evaluator.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. And I think now I can just call for a timers report, or is that the Toastmaster evening that calls for that?
No, that's all you.
All right, can I have a timers report? Toastmaster Franz?
Toastmaster Cleo. Thank you. We have for Corey, we have 2 minutes and 25 seconds. For Zachary, we have 1 minute and 47 seconds. And for Hans, we have 3 minutes and 49 seconds.
Thank you very much. It is, I think, 2 out of 3 qualify, correct?
That is correct.
All right. If you want to go ahead and send your votes to Andrew Bullock.
Franz
What?
was holding up the yellow the whole time for Hans at the very end.
Oh.
We want to qualify Hans based on the fact that Franz forgot to hold up the red.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I can agree to that.
no,
Okay.
three, wasn't it between 2 and 4 minutes?
2 and 3.
2 and 3, okay.
So we'll just give everybody a qualification. So please send your votes to me.
We're going to give everybody a minute, or are we just going to go to the next portion?
You can go ahead and begin your roll reports.
All right. Thank you. All right. So now we have our roll reports. Let me bring up the agenda. First on the agenda will be our timer. Well, we already did the timers report. Okay. Next, we will have, let's see. Let's do listen up and word master. So that will be Toastmaster Lee Walker.
Okay, let's, word master. I think I only heard Andrew use exhortation or exhort one time. Anybody else? I don't think so. Listen up. Who did Tiffany talk about in her speech?
Mother.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask you all to unmute yourself if you want to go ahead and answer the questions.
Everybody unmute. Everybody unmute.
What was the question again?
The answer was mother.
Who did
It
Tiffany
was her
talk
mother.
about in her speech? Her mother's the correct answer.
Her mother.
Okay. What sport were the coaches that Robert talked about in his speech?
Football.
Football.
Okay.
Basketball.
What color is associated with the Democrat Party?
Oh, the colors.
Colors, blue.
Blue, correct.
The red and blue.
Well, which color represents Republican?
Red.
Red.
Republican red.
All right. Who had a stutter growing up?
It was not Tiffany.
Tiffany?
I think it was somebody else.
Tiffany.
It's Tiffany.
Tiffany.
Was Tiffany, yes, correct. Tammy spoke about 3 social media platforms or pages. Name them.
Facebook, YouTube,
Facebook,
and
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
Correct. Franz, in his table topic, what word did he use to describe a color? Or colors?
I don't know. It was very poetic, though.
Wait, can you repeat the question?
What word did Franz use when he was describing, like, was talking about a color or colors?
Infinity.
Infinity, correct. Who talked about the color red in a negatively?
Right.
And then who talked about red positively? Madam General Evaluator.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Our next helper is Toastmaster Lynn Claiborne. Sorry about that. She filled the grammarian role this evening, an all kind of role.
Okay. I'll go with the speakers first. Tiffany, who am I? When you began to give the example, I thought that you should have said, I'm going to give you an example that I used to stutter, I, or whatever. Otherwise, excellent job. Andrew, your favorite word is all right. All right. Between every speech is all right. That's your favorite crutch word. Speaker 2, Tammy. I'ma should have been I am willing. You began some of your speeches with the word well at the beginning instead of just going into the sentence, instead of using that crutch word. I'm going to. Your crutch word is and good job. Andrew, again, your crutch word is all right. Speaker 3, Robert, you double clutched a couple of times. Right is your favorite word. And you did use a couple of times. John, you had a couple of crutch words, and that's because Robert was asking you questions. So some of your crutch words are like, so kind of. Andrew, again, all right. Franz, you just used one time. Table topics. JP, you like a lot of crutch words. It's almost like cereal, Lucky Charms. All right, as well. Lucky Charms. Stop eating those Lucky Charms. Brian, your crutch word is good. Andrew, you used so one time. Franz, you like beautiful accent, but I could hear that Evaluators. Corey, you use twice. An excellent job with that evaluation. Zachary, you love that Zachary, I didn't pick up anything for Zachary this time, huh? You like that but. And that is my report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lynn. That was awesome. And I believe before I turn it back over to the Toastmaster of the evening, I'm just going to do a very brief evaluation of the meeting. Everything, we were right on time. As I was looking at the agenda, we were hitting those time points, so very good on time, and the organization was great. And thank you to all of the helpers who filled the roles this evening. Thank you so much. And the evaluators, very brief. All the evaluations were excellent. They all provided positive feedback as well as great suggestions for improvement for the speakers. So thank you very much for providing quality feedback. And now I would like to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Andrew Bullock.
Thank you, Cleo. Thank you for that excellent journal evaluation. You don't have to abbreviate yourself. Be as detailed as possible. We like to know where we can improve in future endeavors. And thank you, Lynn, for pointing out my use of the word all right. I shall endeavor to use it less. With that said, it is now time to say good evening. So I will now send the meeting. Oh, one thing before I go. We have one educational award to hand out this evening. Mr. Robert Riggs has completed his level 4 in effective coaching. Finally. Let's give him a standing ovation. All right. Yeah, one more level to go. One of those projects is a high performance leadership.
Yeah, don't expect that for at least 9 months.
All right. Yep, I use it again. I will now turn the meeting over to our acting president, Mr. Josier Jean-Paul.
All right, so Cleo, can I have you unmute everybody? What did everybody think about the meeting tonight? It was great. It was. I enjoyed most of those speeches, and I also got a little tip from Lynn. Lucky Charms. That's a new one for me. That really caught me off guard. Very mindful. Good. So with that being said, I would like to talk to some of the guests and see what you guys think about tonight's meeting. And Jane, excuse me if I'm saying this right, Jane Davis?
JN, hi.
Diane, what did you think about tonight's meeting, and did it meet your expectations?
It exceeded my expectations, actually. I thought this was pretty cool, pretty neat. Definitely not what I expected at first, but it's still pretty interesting nonetheless.
All right. Right on.
For the record, I think he got an A in my class.
T.
Yes.
What did you think about tonight's meeting?
Tonight's meeting was pretty good. I got a little confused with the fire question. I was trying to practice, so the next time when I do the, I guess the open topics, that I can prepare a little better than I did the first time. The only thing is, if you gave me that question, I don't know if I would have been able to answer that one. Why fire doesn't have the shadow. I thought that was an interesting question.
For the record, fire does have a shadow.
Oh, okay. Was that what?
If you
Oh,
look
okay.
at a fireplace in a dark room, you'll see the shadow.
I thought that was that the question. I thought the question was why doesn't fire have a shadow? Is that right?
That's correct.
It was. Okay.
In that scenario, if you believe that question doesn't coincide with us, or if you want have like something better you'd like to talk about, you can always just say, pull a Hansden and say, hey, I might not answer your question, but I will talk about this instead, and just go that route. And executed perfectly, so then it still works out.
Yeah, the meeting was really good. Everyone did very well, and everyone was very thorough. I got a lot of good tips, so the next time I get put on the spot, I'll be able to do it.
Okay. And for the officers, do you have anything to put out before I close out the meeting?
Tiffany?
Well, we're looking for a Toastmaster of the evening for our next meeting, which will be on July 28th.
July 28th is our next meeting. We will have an officers meeting next Tuesday. If any members want to come, we will have an officers meeting. You just have to let us know, and we'll let you in.
I was going to get to that, but the more important thing is getting a Toastmaster evening for July 28th, so that we can begin the planning of that meeting ahead of time, so we're not scrambling at the last minute. Do I have any volunteers for Toastmaster of the evening? No volunteers? All right.
Hold on. I think Donna James has already signed up.
Let me check.
Yeah, she signed up.
Well, why didn't you tell me that?
You get emails, I don't.
Yeah, I did get the email. I forgot about that.
Okay.
All right, so we are all set there. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the chooses to show up to the officers meeting coming up next Tuesday, which won't be your traditional officers meeting. It'll be more of a where we're at and where we're going to go with the officers this year, not run by Robert Riggs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Mr. Acting President, I do have one other announcement, if that's okay.
What was that?
I do have one other announcement, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Officers, who here? So we got Andrew, we got myself, we got JP, we got Tammy. Our treasurer is not here tonight. I think our secretary might be sitting over there with a blue shirt and a blue haircut. And then we got our sergeant at arms, Mr. Walker. Everybody who's an officer of our club, as well as the extended other officers who are doing chair positions, we are having a training with the district on Friday night from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Now, if you're an official officer, I already reached out to you and got you to go ahead and sign up for the district training. If you are not an official officer, you can still come. Just let me know, and we've all done. We're not going to Richmond. However, if you want to come to my house, I'm actually hosting any officers that want to come to my house Friday night. We're going to have a whole shindig. So we're actually going to sit down with our laptops, go to the training. Same thing with Saturday morning. Now, obviously, you'll have to go and come back. You can't sleep at my house. But, come over, have a good time. bring some food if you want. I'm gonna cook some food as well. We'll have a cookout, and we'll actually sit down in my house. I have enough bandwidth that all of you can come, believe it or not, and we'll go watch the district training. So it's Friday night from 6 to 9 p.m. and Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. If you are an official officer like JP, you've signed up for at least 3 of the trainings, and I encourage you to come to all 3 if you can. That's all I have to say, Mr. Acting President.
Okay. And do I have any more oh by the ways for tonight? Nothing heard. So with that being said, everybody have a great night, and this concludes tonight's meeting.
Best awards.
What was that?
Oh, yeah.
The awards.
The awards. Who won?
Oh,
man.
I thought Andrew announced it.
No.
Because it wasn't sent to me. So
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Don't do that. I know I did my job. Don't play that.
Oof, oof, oof. Oh. All right, can I get a drum roll for tonight? Can I get a drum roll? And for the best speaker is Tammy Adama. Can I get a round of applause? All right, for the best table topics is Lynn Claiborne.
Yeah.
Go Lynn, go Lynn, go Lynn.
And last but not least, can I get one more drum roll going on for the best evaluator? And the best evaluator for the night is Andrew Bullock. I'm lying. It's Corey Fonville. Yeah, so I did that. I fooled everyone.
Great job, Corey.
Great job, Corey. Very good.
So that was a great job, Corey. All right. Now, Andrew, did I miss anything else? Let me scroll through this chat real quick.
I think that was everything. We've given the guest to speak. We got next week's meeting set. Yeah.
So with that, have a good night. Enjoy your night. This concludes our meeting.